I mentioned the counties that I currently represent. Again, the district, all of Oconee, part of Clark, Morgan, and Oglethorpe. Was that my timer? Every 10 years, of course, the General Assembly, after the census numbers comes in, meets to redistrict congressional districts, state house, and senate, and we also deal sometimes with local county redistricting. That occurred back in the special session in August. As a result, to boil it down, Oconee went into that process whole with just one state house member. Oconee came out of that process having been split. I know that I went to some of the public hearings that were held with the redistricting committee. I know, Melvin, you spoke out on behalf of Oconee County with a desire for the county to stay whole. I went into that process with that same desire for Oconee to stay whole. The fact is, it didn't happen, and we can stay here all night and talk about why it didn't happen. I know there's at least a perception among some of you in the room that it didn't happen due to some political wrangling, if you will, that took place to draw district lines for certain people. The fact is, there was some speculation in Oconee County that the county was split to draw a district that would be favorable to a Clark County resident, and whether that was the case or not, in fact, Regina defeated that individual in the primary, so if that was the plan, obviously it didn't work very well. The question I would ask all of us in this room to think about, because I know there are some strong feelings, and personally, as an Oconee native and an Oconee resident, I would prefer to see Oconee whole. But the question I would ask us, given the juncture that we're at now, is the reason that we may not be happy with that, is it because of the way that it may have occurred, or is it because we think that at the end of the day, having Oconee split, Oconee having two members in the state house, is bad for Oconee County? And again, I would ask us to think long and hard about that. If you have a bad taste in your mouth because you may think that the split was a result of political action, if you will, maybe it was. Maybe it was. I'm not going to sit here and try to tell you maybe that wasn't the case. But again, since that shook out like it did, I would just ask us to think about, is it bad for Oconee to have two representatives? If one of us is unavailable, you can get to the other, you would think. Committee assignments. Regina, being a practicing attorney, will probably be given committee assignments that differ from what I will be given, more than likely. Is it bad for Oconee County that if you have Regina there, say in the judicial committee at the same time I'm in the natural resources and environment committee, is that bad for Oconee County rather than only one representative being in one committee meeting or the other? So if it, I know there's been discussion about the county commissioners possibly taking a formal stand on this, and as I have told several of you individually, I'm certainly willing to try to move that ahead. What I don't know is, given all the challenges that the General Assembly is going to face this coming year, whether or not the legislature is going to have any desire to open up what will probably be a can of worms statewide. If the door is cracked for one community, you would expect folks all around the state that maybe want to tweak their districts to expect the same thing. So I don't want that to be all of our discussion this afternoon. I've probably spoken too long on that.
And I just want to reiterate what I said during the campaign about this redistricting issue. I stand ready, willing, and able to do anything within my power to help put Oconee County back together if that is the desire of the citizens of Oconee County and the desire of the commission, that I do that. And that will certainly make my life more difficult in 2 years, but this is not about me. As far as I'm concerned, this issue, it's about Oconee County.
I got some comments and from constituents in Oconee County about the redistricting of your house districts here, and I'll answer them publicly like I did those There is a gentleman's agreement between the Senate and the House. We don't touch their maps, and they don't touch our maps. Senate redistricts the Senate districts, the House does theirs, and we don't monkey with each other's districts. You can imagine the chaos that would result if you did. If I started changing somebody in the House's district, you think that I'd be able to get a bill through the House? You know, down the road, it would be a lot of animosity developed between people if you started trying to monkey with their business and interfere with their districts. But we will rubber stamp anything that they send over to the Senate. So if y'all work out some kind of redistricting, you can count that I'll vote for it whichever way. Whatever you pass in the House, we'll pass in the Senate on that. And I can't predict the likelihood of the House changing districts or not. I know there's no desire to do that in the Senate. And part of the reason is we got legal maps. You know, these were upheld judicial scrutiny, and they're fair. They were really fair for the Republican Party because we just got a constitutional majority in the state Senate. We got 38 out of the 56 seats now that are Republican. That will give a lot of operational flexibility, let's call it, to the Republican Party to pass bills that you want to without much obstruction.
I'd like to address one thing, and this is really to Chuck and Regina, and I'll go back to the redistricting. I'm going to ask the commission to back you up, Regina. I think that was a pledge you made to bring us back whole. I've heard nothing to the contrary. And we can all debate what, I know what the perception was to me. It hasn't changed, but I would like to see Oconee back whole. And it may not work, Chuck, I don't know. I don't know, but if you don't try, you don't get anything. That's the way I felt from the get-go. I think we all said it. We knew, Regina, that was a campaign pledge that she made. And, until it's tried, then I'm going to support you.
Well, it affects just our two districts. I mean, it's not a situation with the map that you start, when you draw these maps, and Bill can speak to this with more experience than I have for sure, but it creates a domino effect when you start dealing with districts in a broader way across county lines. That would not be true in this instance. It would just involve putting the 3 precincts in Oconee back in the 119th and taking an equivalent population in Clark and putting that in the 117th. And so that makes it just about the two of us, and as I've said, I will be happy to do everything within my power as a freshman legislator to make that happen if it's your will.
So that would not, to carry that step further, that would not affect other jurisdictions other than the 113th and 117th, or whatever the numbers are.
That's correct.
I'll jump in on that just a little bit. Chuck and I have talked some about it. And yeah, the hardware store scuttlebutt is, or not scuttlebutt, but the conversation has been, we'd like to see, people would like to see Oconee whole again in that district. Yes, Chuck, you do have 2 representatives, you know, in Atlanta, but my goodness, she's got 4 counties to deal with. And I can see that she could be more effective if she had 3 instead of 4. And I would think that you could be more effective if you were only having to vote related to how you think Oconee County citizens would want voting done. I have no clue, you know, when the maps were drawn, why. Well, I do have a clue. I know what it is, but you know, Regina's got I don't have those numbers with me, but Regina's got a very large Republican district as it is, and you know, it might make it tougher on her to be reelected, but if she lost, but I don't think, if you made that change, I don't think you would change that Republican-Democrat relationship ratios very much. Maybe drop hers down some, and of course push yours up, you know, higher on the Republican side. But it's something that I think people have expressed to me that they'd like to see us address it, and I'm here to help try to address it.
Well, let me say, the Republican-Democratic thing, that's irrelevant to me about this issue, because it's about community of interest. And if you folks feel strongly, I can tell you, I heard it constantly during the campaign, and I've had many people call and, you know, what are you doing to keep this promise? And so I'm willing to do whatever I can do, if it's the will of the folks of Oconee County, that's in your interest, to once again be whole. I know it took you a long while to get there. So.
Gentlemen, just, I guess in the spirit of clarifying, I believe, Regina, the target population number under the new census for our House district is 53,800 and something individuals. So obviously Oconee County doesn't have that. So you mentioned me being focused solely on Oconee County. That doesn't happen.
Didn't happen
even if
right.
even if we change it. So I would still have a, right now, population-wise, my district is, my new district, I think it's about 52% Athens, Clark, 48% Oconee, as far as raw population. And obviously, if we made this change, it would shift majority to Oconee County. But I guess I would say I would still be straddling the creek, if you will, of Clark and Oconee, even if the change were to
Change that.
Yeah.
Wasn't that district originally have a piece of Morgan and a little bit of Oglethorpe or something?
Yeah,
prior to-
currently I've got 4 counties.
Yeah.
I've got all of Oconee, part of Clark, Morgan, and Oglethorpe.
Yeah.
So I can feel Regina's pain with 4 counties. That's 4, you know, chambers of commerce, 4 county commissions, plus all.
Plus all these meetings you have too.
We knew that going into it, though.